As we get further into this course, there's going to be some technical aspects of using tools, and I wanted to bring up a few concepts before we dig deeper into using some of these tools and also put some of the misconceptions aside because honestly, I think there's a lot of misconceptions and misinformation out there about LinkedIn automation. Story time. My parents use me for tech support. They're in their 70s, and like every other millennial out there, often there's either a call or an instance where they can't figure something out and they go into a fit of boomer rage, and it happens. So, my parents wanted to print photos of our wedding that happened less than a year ago. Of course, like any other older couple, they want to put pictures up of their kids. So, they received a link to Google Photos. Now they just need to download all the photos, select their favorites, put it onto a thumb drive, bring that thumb drive to a print shop, and then they hopefully will be able to print and frame the photos for my parents. So after trying for, according to them, hours, they wanted to jump on a call. Understandable, and I'm happy to help. So we struggled at each and every step of the way. So first, it was locating the thumb drive once it was plugged in. Then it became a browser issue of like, well, I can't figure out how to get onto the browser. At which point, I was like, okay, I need to see what's happening here. So basically, we had one laptop pointing at another laptop screen, and they had trouble getting into Google Photos, much less finding the download button. And so I was like, okay, can we just jump on a Google Meet and we'll do this real quick? Uh, that became an entire new issue because they couldn't figure out how to open up the Google Meets, at which case I'm like losing my shit. And so I was like, okay, I can do a remote desktop setup. So all you need to do is download this thing and then you should be able to give me full access. And that created an issue. They couldn't find the browser again, at which case then it became a challenge of trying to unzip the file once it landed. And I was losing my mind. I should have a little more patience in this, but after 40 minutes, we had zero progress. My mom's laptop was basically playing a voice in the background with very loud beeps. You have downloaded an antivirus. Install something something virus destroyer in order to get this off of your device. And I'm like, stop downloading. And my mom's like, oh, I've already downloaded it. And it's this whole thing. Um, Comedic, yes, but frustrating as well for both parties. And ultimately, I think, yeah, people are like, well, why would you share this? I think it's important to know your tech limitations. So, my parents do not work with anything technology related, have never done that. My parents are often unable or unwilling, and that could be you. If you've never had anything in the way of tools or technology within your career, you may be very uncomfortable using computers. And that's okay. Sometimes the manual methods are the best methods, and manual is okay. Just know that it is a little slower. I'm going to show you different tools throughout the remainder of this course, and the whole purpose of you taking this course is to be able to dabble in using some of these tools rather than doing things the most manual and slowest way possible. All you need to do is try. So, what are LinkedIn automation tools? There's many different types of tools that do different things. And I will say before I show some of these tools, remember that there is a competitor for everything. If a tool does something really well once, then somebody else is probably going to be like, hey, I bet I could build a better tool and make more money. So there are competitors for any tool that you are using right now. That is just the nature of capitalism and how things work. So there's tools for targeting, there's searching, there's discovery. There's also tools for building lists via scraping and segmentation. There's really interesting tools that allow you to automatically send connections that are personalized with auto follow-up messages. You also have the ability to then use the CRM within the tool, the client retention management tool or customer retention management tool that basically allows you to tag, filter, and do a few things within the inbox so that you're keeping kind of a pipeline going within your outreach. There's engagement tools that'll cover towards the very end of the course, and of course, publishing tools that allow you to be a content creator. I want to show a few of these tools, and I will towards the very end of this because there are many. But just so we're on the same page, I have separated out the different tools by its function, and there's many different use cases and types of tools based off of how you want to use them. I want to put to rest the dangers of LinkedIn tools. For a period of time, there were a lot of people that were either temporarily banned or permanently banned for doing spamming across many different types of tools. And ultimately, the challenge is defining what is spamming. So anytime that you are reaching out to people at scale, it's technically spamming people. So even if it's like, yeah, but I'm not selling anything, it's like, well, you're selling yourself. But I have been a huge proponent of using the tools within the confines of reasonable usage, meaning not going overboard with, hey, buy my stuff. Do you need development resources? Hey, I'm a offshore extraordinaire. I can find all the developers, designers, marketers you need. It makes sense. And for a very long period of time, LinkedIn was absolutely against automation of any type. And the tools fall into different categories. So there's collection only, there's collecting paired with a sequence of outreach, and those can get you into trouble if you're going beyond the LinkedIn limits. There's automating social media posts, there's full automation that basically takes over your screen. There's lots of different things that you can do. So, what are those LinkedIn limits? Well, there are LinkedIn limits based off of what type of LinkedIn account you have. So, if you have the lowest level free account, there are going to be much more strict limits. If you have LinkedIn Navigator, the highest version of either sales, or you have Recruiter Navigator, then ultimately, yeah, you have a lot more flexibility. Those come with different price points. We never want to do more than 40 connections per day and under 200 per week. You are limited to 150 messages per day, and that is with most premium services. So that means, like, okay, cool, we have an understanding of our limits. And just so we have access to these things, I have provided this sheet, which basically gives you a table of the different limits, and you can familiarize yourself with these things. Just remember kind of the magic number of 50 limitations in terms of daily new connections, and you are stuck at 200 total for the week. Guides and tutorials. Every company that creates a LinkedIn automation tool wants to educate their user base with here's what you can and can't do. And so I've provided links to all of these, and I think they're relatively straightforward and helpful. LinkedIn just doesn't want you to go overboard with spamming people. That's it. You're not prevented from using tools that allow you to do more with less. So when people are like, should I use these tools? I'm like, absolutely. Yes, use the tools. Just stay within the limits. Once you get more than 2 strikes, you need to hold off. So they'll give you 3 total strikes. First one is like just a warning. Second one is, I think, a ban for anywhere from a week to 30 days. And then third is basically a permanent ban that you can't get your account back. And that can be very frustrating. So don't be spammy. Stay within the limits. There is a risk in doing nothing, and there's a risk in doing anything. So we just need to be aware of what those limits are and stay within them. And if people are still pushing back and saying, well, I'm not going to do anything to put my LinkedIn account in jeopardy, it's like, cool, you're not. Like, LinkedIn has already been quietly outspoken about how they allow different tools to integrate with their platform. That's why they have an API integration. So I have provided a link to your settings where you can actually see, oh, they're allowing you to add apps into their services. Meaning, like LinkedIn has noted, yeah, we can't really fight progress. People don't want to manually do all of these things. They can provide guidelines. And if you're steamrolling over those in favor of being spammy and doing nefarious actions or trying to take advantage of people, then we have a problem. This gets at the psychology principle of ambiguity, aversion, which is basically people prefer known versus unknown risks. So the concept is if something is new, you don't fully understand the rules, expectations, or outcomes, and that ambiguity makes people anxious or hesitant. So familiar equals safe, unfamiliar equals threatening. So even if a new option isn't risky, if it's unclear, we tend to avoid it. So a lot of people don't pick up new tools because they're not familiar with these things. They've never used them. You have to fight past this kind of uncomfortable feeling of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. You'll figure it out. It's relatively intuitive. You just need to try your first tool. So the goal of using any of these tools, like what's the point of this? There are freemium or free tools, and then there are paid tools. And if you're okay with spending a little money, the goal is that you're going to get speed, you're going to get volume, meaning more connections, more messages, more activities in general that eventually lead to meetings and potentially future interviews and offers. And you're going to save a heck of a lot of time so you can do more of the stuff that requires your attention and requires you to focus in on giving kind of the essence of you as opposed to the manual stuff where you're constantly typing the same thing over 20, 30, 50 times. It doesn't make sense to do that. You are capable of learning and doing anything. Anything that you do that is new may seem difficult, but I promise you can overcome that. So I want to show a couple of different tools just so everybody has a good feeling for what I'm referring to. I will introduce a few of these in some of the future modules and demonstrate at scale what they do. So LinkedIn Navigator, you don't have to sign up for it. That is $80 a month. You can get by with LinkedIn Premium with many of these tools. With some of these tools, it's really encouraging you to get the highest tier. Just think about it like this. It is a small investment now in order to get the opportunity or the job that you're looking for. So some of the automated messages or auto connecting tools are listed here, and those are also very similar to the connection request tools here. They're kind of a blend of each other. Expandy was definitely one of my favorite tools for a period of time. Expandy is an all-in-one dashboard that does the connections. It does a lot of the follow-ups for you in different sequences. It allows you to map out and collect and build lists. I would say it's one of the better tools available. And the challenge with these things is they are not cheap, right? So you always have to keep an eye out for the pricing based off of either monthly or annually. So yeah, it's cheaper annually, but monthly is of course, or sorry, monthly is more expensive. I said the right thing. Linked Helper I've used many a time. It is probably the cheapest, if not one of the cheapest options out there. It does a lot of the connection stuff that I've already talked about with Expandy. I would say the user interface is a little old school. It does require you to follow a few different lines of kind of tutorials in order to set up a proxy because it operates on a remote desktop. This gets at trying to avoid people using these LinkedIn extensions, which LinkedIn has gotten really good at detecting. And so, yeah, I would say a good deal for what it is. And 15 bucks a month, you can't really beat that. And they have a free trial, which is actually quite rare in most cases. Lemlist is a tool that I first started using probably more than that, like 7 years ago. LinkedIn has allowed tools like this to exist for a reason, and it's because they're good. So you can do LinkedIn outreach and you can do email outreach at the same time. If you have the data on a person, you have their email address and their LinkedIn, you can actually stop sequences based off of their actions. So if they have responded on email or if they have responded on LinkedIn, it allows you to kind of cease some of those outreach sequences. Uh, like I've said earlier, you have so many different options available to you in terms of automated outreach. Every tool kind of is new for a time and kind of the hot thing for a little bit. So I found Waxily as I was continuing to find different ways of doing this, and they provide a free, I guess it's like a free week, which is I guess kind of nice. And you're looking at 19 euros for the yearly, but that jumps up monthly to 40. So it's not the cheapest thing in town. There are so many other tools here that you could play with. Phantom Buster I use for scraping. It's not quite the same. There are Chrome extensions that allow you to run this outreach automatically, and there's Chrome extensions that allow you to build lists. I will show what those look like in a bit. Apollo's a great tool for that. Lucia's a great tool for that. I originally got started with all my outreach using DuckSoup. The tool really hasn't evolved all that much, but the pricing is pretty good. So you could go for $12.99 a month and run a lot of your automated outreach through a Chrome browser relatively easily. And so it's a pretty nice thing. And that, again, maxes out at that limit of 200 connections per week, 50 a day. There are lots of different tools that allow you to boost engagement, and that's an interesting angle. I'll talk about that towards the very end of this entire course in terms of creating posts and engaging on different people's posts in order to get people to come to your profile or potentially to build up before you actually connect with them. There's lots of really interesting ways of publishing across different platforms, and some of these tools allow you to either publish using a Chrome extension or potentially help with the way that you're writing it. There's inspiration from top creators, and I will demonstrate so many different ways of finding awesome posts to repurpose, recreate, copy in so many words. There's a lot of influencer tools that allow you to discover people that are more or less the top voices within their sector or within their vertical. There's lots and lots of tools for looking up people's email addresses just based off of their LinkedIn profile. Many of these have freemium versions. I've mentioned Lucia here. I don't know why I put Clearbit on there. I don't think they have anything that would allow you to do that. Snovio I've used for a ton of outreach, and I think it's a great little tool for doing all things enrichment. There's profile audits, there's scraping, which is list building to then enrich that information and massively send out all these connections. And then there's post scheduling, and I think everybody's somewhat familiar. So you can build a bunch of posts and then schedule them so that they're going live sequentially throughout the days or weeks that you're on the job search. So lots and lots and lots of tools here, and the pricing is not up to me, right? I didn't build these tools. So I hope this helps. I want to dig in to showing you how I would use some of these tools, but I wanted to give a nice overall intro and keep people from getting too spooked by misinformation or misled. Like, yes, you can use these tools within reason. Do not spam people. That's it. It's as simple as that.